In this video, I'm going to be showing you behind the scenes on a shoot that I've set up to show you exactly how I take my food photography. What's up YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. Before I go into this video, I just want to say a massive thank you because yesterday I made it to 100 subscribers, which for every single one of you is just absolutely amazing, so thank you so much. If you've not subscribed to the channel yet, then click the link down below for some awesome photography videos. So like I said, this video is going to be a behind the scenes video on one of my photography shoots. I went and got some cake from the shop. I could have baked it, but I'm not the best baker, and this was just so much easier and tasted just as good. So I got the cake to show you exactly how I take my food photography images. I started right from the beginning to the planning stages and right to the end. So I'm going to show you a few of the images that I ended up with. The first thing I always start with is to get some inspiration. So for this, I always go onto either Pinterest or Instagram. And the important thing to remember when doing this is that I'm looking for inspiration only. I'm not looking to copy anybody else's images because this isn't your work and this is not going to improve your skills as a photographer. Now we're on Pinterest, we're going to search for what we're taking pictures of. Have a look through and pin anything to a related board that takes your fancy. Anything that you really like the look of, any particular style, anything with particular props that you really like. Also look at things in slightly different areas. This is going to help you finding more inspiration and maybe something a little bit different that you wouldn't have thought of. Now we've got our boards together, we can keep this up and ready while we're taking our pictures and have it there on hand. You can either print it out or I'm just going to leave it on the screen for this shoot. Now we've gone and collected some inspiration from Pinterest. I like to get out my notebook. Yes, my notebook is Harry Potter. On this notebook, what I will jot down is a few composition ideas, including the backgrounds that I'm planning on using, some props that I'd like to use, and a few different setups that I have in mind. So the orientation, so overhead and 45-degree angles, I've written down here. So the next thing I'll do is write down a list of props I'm planning on using for the shoot, just to kind of give me an idea of what to collect and what to get ready for the shoot. Now we've got an idea of how we're going to be photographing our subject and what props we're going to be using. I collect all the props that I've thought about using. I keep my props downstairs, so I always make sure I collect everything I could possibly need. So I'm not going to be using all of these, but it's nice to have a really good selection to just quickly swap and change things out on a whim when I want to. Now it's time to get our scene set up, and I'm using some of my DIY boards. If you want to know how to make these, then just check the link above. And setting up the light and the tripod. So I'm starting with an overhead shot, so I'm just gonna hang the camera like this overhead with my overhead tripod. First of all, I'll get the lighting right on the main subject. So that's the most important thing for me, is how the subject is lit. So I'll make sure that's perfect before I start adding in some of my props that I've gathered. So I like to have a bit of a mess around and move things about and take it in different ways. Sometimes it's just about using your creative ideas and framing the subject really nicely, and I'll get a few different varieties with each setup I do. The white card I'm using is just a reflector, just to bounce some of that light back into the image and make sure that that side also has some good light. So now I'm just taking a quick slice out of the cake, and cutting a slice or adding something to the scene also adds a bit more of a story to the images you're getting. Just propped up the plate with a knife because the linen was making it tip down a little bit. So I've used 2 plates just to add a bit of height and different layers into the photo. Now I'm set up for a straight on photo. And because this is going to be straight on, I'm also going to need to get an extra backdrop for the back there. So I'm using a similar setup to how I had the overhead shot, but just straight on into the cake. Just change the lighting around a little bit just to make sure everything's perfect. I also changed a few of the camera settings because I use a much wider aperture when shooting straight on than when I did when I was shooting overhead. So as you can see, I didn't use all of the props that I gathered, just the ones that ended up working best, and sometimes it's just a case of fiddling about and finding out exactly what you like and getting that hero shot. Shooting something like a cake's quite easy because it's not going to deteriorate, so it gives you plenty of time to see what works best for you and to try a few different variations of things that you have in mind. When you're just starting out, it's good to try foods that give you the extra time to try different things and see what works best for your style. And yep, that coffee was cold. I'm just adding a few crumbs into the image here just to kind of make the scene look a little bit messy. Some chocolate chips as well. It's always nice to add in a few ingredients that make sense to your image. I'm just slicing the cake here, and one reason I love planning out my shoots in advance is because I knew I wanted a sliced shot, but I wanted to make sure I got all of the unsliced pictures obviously before I sliced the cake. The slices of cake kept falling over, so I just quickly grabbed a different prop I had on hand, just a prop behind it to keep it stacked upright. The lens I've been using for these photos has been the 24 to 120mm Nikkor lens. It's a really good versatile lens, and especially when going from an overhead to a straight on shoot, it gives that versatility to be able to swap between those two really easily. Swapping out my lens here to a macro lens, this is for my final shot I had it in mind, and this is just going to be a macro shot of the different slices. So as you can see, I got the few shots that I wrote down in my notepad, but I also took some different shots, as when I was taking the pictures I came up with different ideas, and spark of creativity sometimes can help you come up with different ideas that you didn't think of. So jotting down your ideas, it's really good. It's not set in stone, you can always change your mind, add different compositions as you go. That's my whole process, guys, and after doing all of that, I went through and edited some of the images. I'm not going to show you that because I've already uploaded an editing video, and if you want to check out how I edit my images, then just check this link up here, and that'll give you an idea of how these images were edited. After looking through the images, I do have a few of my favourites which I'm going to go through now. So this is one of my favourite photos from the shoot, and it's an overhead one with a few of the crumbs. I like this image because I think it tells a bit more of a story than some of them, and it frames the main subject really nice, just kind of peeking in there. The second image I'm going to show you is probably my favourite from the whole shoot. One on a straight on angle, looking right into that loaf cake, and I like how the wide aperture is really drawing your eye to that slice that I've chopped off on the front there, and that marbled effect of the cake. That's everything in today's video, guys. If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up. If there's anything you'd like me to discuss in a video in the future, then let me know in the comments below. And if that's everything, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. So in this video I'm going to be showing you exactly how I take